What I find paradoxical is the biggest move to silence association, to silence speech, to designate people as anti-Semitic or self-hating, to punish, to penalize movements, it is coming from states that profess to be democracies. It is coming from states that claim to be this fulcrum of enlightened thought, of diversity, of freedom, of the ability to exchange ideas and to grow and to welcome its diversity of thought. It's coming from them. Now, why? When you take a close look, you find many of them have their own fascist. I mean, the paradox of Germany stepping in and thinking that somehow by becoming a rubber stamp for Israel, it is going to reverse or undo its own history with Jews is perverse to say the least. What's even more paradoxical when it comes to Germany is it is using today the very tactics it used against German Jews in the 30s, where it silenced speech, association, it closed newspapers, it stopped pamphleteers, it imprisoned people for daring to speak up and speak out. So Germany is doing today what it did in the 30s, and it believes because suddenly it's embracing very much a fellow traveler, a Zionist, that somehow it undoes its history, as perverse to say in the extreme. But what's also interesting is, and I've said this for years, I have challenged the United States for half a century, whether it's domestic courts, international courts, in my writing, in my speaking, in my appearances. The two redeeming features of the United States that are not equal anywhere else in the world is, number one, is the First Amendment, association and speech. And number two is our diversity. And both are under tremendous attack right now, under tremendous attack by Zionists, under tremendous attack by despotic regimes, under tremendous attack by political players in the United States. What do people fear in the marketplace of ideas? The truth always rises. And I say this to Germans. I say this to people in Austria and Australia. I say this to people in France. I say this in the United Kingdom. If it's not true, if what the BDS movement is saying is what people are saying about Israel, if what people are saying about the United States, if what people are saying about your own country is false, it's not fact, it's not true, it'll rise in the marketplace of ideas. It is only in a robust marketplace of ideas where there is a free exchange of discussion, where there's debate, where there's challenge, where there's association. I litigated this. I was part of a team of lawyers that won this very issue in South Africa in 2013 and 14, radio station 786, where the South African Jewish Board of Directors, the vestige of a terrible Zionist organization that had very strong connections to apartheid, challenged radio station 786 because of two shows that it did. One that they claimed was a Holocaust denial show, and another one that attacked Israel. Now, South Africa has this very vibrant constitutional charter that talks about the First Amendment, that talks about association and speech, and that looks specifically at the United States First Amendment. I was brought in, I was part of the team, and we prevailed. Countries and movements and people that fear speech fear knowledge. They embrace ignorance. And for those who say, well, it's not always speech. Well, when speech becomes action, when it becomes speech brigaded in action, when it crosses the line into violence, when it crosses the line into real incantation with likelihood probability of events occurring, that's an exception in the United States, and it can occur anywhere else in the world. Open the door to association, open the door to speech. If the BDS movement is built of lies, the marketplace will establish it. If the so-called attack upon Israel is built of lies, the marketplace will expose it. On the other hand, what these countries fear is the movements are built of truth, and it will force them to have to take a principled and moral stand against by far the most despotic, damning, deadly, dangerous regime in the world today, Israel.